Alright, so we got week 4 of solve analysis. We got PrestonPeter with a 155.0, average of 5 on 5x5. Again, if you don't know, solve analysis is available to subscribers to the Twitch channel. Pretty much upload a video just like this. I analyze it, give you tips and stuff. So yeah, 155.0, 5x5. What do you consider your best part of your solve? Planning out the first center. What do you consider the worst part? Edges. Been cubing since April 2017, so under a year. 155 average, sub 2 minutes on 5x5 under a year is very solid. Definitely impressive. How much do you practice a week? 14 hours or more, so more than 2 hours a day. It's definitely kind of, that's probably a little less than what I'd guess for 155 in a year. That's pretty good. That's pretty good improvement. All right, so we are going. Let's check out the start here. The lighting's it's a little hard to see, but it's okay. All right. Looks like that was okay, one quick note. I think I saw Preston actually at the competition. You can't this turn right here. He's gonna do it in a second, right? That right there. You saw that kind of. Essentially, it was a push like this. This is so risky. Like, I know you might be used to it and you probably do it all the time, but this is way faster. It requires less of a regrip. Your hands are in a more natural position. Doing this is, it's definitely not. I would not recommend it at all. Oops. Okay, right here. At your speed right now, this is probably a good thing to work on. So right here, let's take a look. Okay, so first things first, let's all check this out. So this is a good thing. I mentioned about saving stuff in 5x5 and how it needs to be already built for you. This is a case where it's already built for you. So check this out. Boom, right here. 2 blue bars are already built. This is, all you have to do right here is a U, and you save these bars automatically. That is worth it. A U takes about, like, what, a quarter of a second for 2 bars? That's where you'd want to save it. I'd recommend, at 155, simple stuff like saving 2 bars with a U, definitely a good idea. I'd recommend doing that. And then right here, this is fine. Okay, so right here, again, another thing that, this is a little more advanced. I'm not sure if you really need to be thinking about this, but I think it's a good thing to kind of be thinking about is, this might be a little advanced. So you can, it's not like something you have to do. So right now you have, on the bottom side of the cube, you have 2 orange bars on the right. And right here, you have this orange bar right here, and the 2 orange bars are here. If you do a U and then R wide prime, you do the insert. So see, you did an R wide, and then you essentially did, then you just essentially undid it to insert that pair. So that was just kind of a waste of a move. Yeah, that shouldn't, I guess it's just a little bit of unsure what's going on. I do like, so you definitely paused before you finish your centers, you waited, and then you sliced after you saw your first edge. That's good. I like that. Find your first edge before you start. That's a good idea. Definitely like it. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be a big thing throughout the whole solve, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it right now. It's probably one of the most important things that's going to show up in this average is, this is in terms of how, this isn't a specific in terms of the cube solving, but it's kind of how you're holding the cube. So let me get to edges real quick. So I don't know if you guys have noticed this in the solve so far, but there is a lot of interesting cube rotations going on. So Preston's solving. He has a couple edges, you know, standard stuff. I like the way the look ahead's pretty solid, but so right now he's in a place where he's got this edge set up, and then he doesn't see an edge on top, so he goes kind of like, he does like kind of a rotation like this to look, and then he rotates back up, or then he does kind of like an insert like that. This, I would definitely not recommend doing this. There's usually going to be pieces on top, and if you're going to, like doing this rotation all the way down here, and then kind of doing this awkward insert like this, if you want to look at the bottom, you can do you want to keep the cube. If you're doing a rotation, you do rotation, or if you're not, you not. So you want to keep the cube in your hands like this, and then if you need to look at the bottom, you should you can do a quick glance, but even then I don't know, versus just rotating all together. You can do a quick glance, and then if you want to do an insert from the bottom, use D moves like this, because rotating down like this is really slow and awkward. If you see nothing on top, I usually just do a quick Z2, and then I do Z2, and then your cube is still in the same natural position, which you can maneuver really quickly. And then I'll do another Z2. Like, I think this is kind of how my style is, and I think most other top cubers do the similar style. Because of the number of rotations it takes, especially at a lower level when it's harder to find pieces and you kind of need to scan the whole cube a little slower, it might be a little less comfortable, but I think it's something good to get used to. It'll force you to really see. Also, it'll force you to see what's available to you in front of you and then be looking around. I do like the smooth looking for the entire cube, but it is just a little bit awkward in general on the finger tricks. So it's gonna be an issue. It's not an issue with you right now because of how fast you're turning, but later it will definitely be an issue kind of with how you're turning when you get faster. So yeah. See, yeah, it's probably gonna be an issue throughout most of it, but I'm only gonna mention it that one time, obviously, because there's, well, what was that? Holy crap, you did, like, some of the finger tricks are, okay, so just, I'll talk about, I'm watching finger tricks in general. I'll talk about finger tricks later, because I'm just gonna watch them now. Cycles, alright, I like the start. Good stuff on those cycles. Really big fan of that. I'll probably have more notes on this also, but I do like the cycles. This is a really good idea. It's gonna, your cycles aren't like super advanced, but that's completely fine for the speed you're at. I think it's a good idea just to get used to them, because it's gonna make transitioning into more advanced edges a lot better. You're in a pretty appropriate spot for where you are right now. Holy crap, the glare is blinding on the top of your... Very hard to see. But, okay, so solve one. Let's see. Also, unless I see something crazy on 3x3, I'm not really looking for 3x3 just because there's only 5 solves and they're kind of, like, awkward. Oh, that was a fast... yeah, your first center planning is pretty solid. Especially for relative to your speed, I definitely think it's pretty good. Alright. Right there, also... So just another case. This is just another case of one move could have saved you a bar. One move to save a bar is usually pretty worth it. So right here, you have 2 orange bars done, and then you have this white bar right here. Just do a U. Also, this is a weird place to put your hand, just to have your hands ever in a solve. But I'm gonna talk about finger trick. I've noticed a lot of stuff on kind of the style you're turning the cube. So I'm gonna note most of it after this solve. Probably. I just want to watch another solve to make sure. Again, I like the fact that you're finding an edge before you start. Definitely good. There's no reason to start doing turns. You're definitely not doing any wasteful turns. Like all your turns. This is a really big problem I find myself doing, especially when I was slower and a lot of newbies doing, or people kind of just at the 130 plus range, is doing turns that don't do anything. And it seems like pretty much 100% of the turns here are actually actively solving edges as opposed to just kind of moving pieces around. So I really like this. This is good stuff. Let's see. Ooh, that was pretty nice. Okay. Well, then we're gonna start talking about that cycle setup was actually pretty nice. I actually didn't completely follow it. Okay, never mind. I followed it. But yeah, that was a nice cycle. Okay, that was actually pretty nice because the cycle you didn't either. So a lot of times on 5x5 edges, when you get to last four, let me get to last four. So on 5x5 edges, a lot of times either you do cycles from the top and you hold your edges with 2 on top and 2 in front, or you do them all on the M layer. So Preston did something pretty smart here. He did a cycle without doing this rotation. It was still pretty fluid. The turns were a little slow, but that's fine. I think the finger tricks themselves were okay, and then it was going to work out better. So that was a pretty smart move. Right here, though, so this is key. One sec. So right here, Preston he essentially has this. Where he needs to do slice, flip, slice, and then to do he does a slice, and then he does a rotation, and then a flip. You just do U prime, and then the first part of the flipping algorithm without the last R, and then you got the flip. So U prime, flipping algorithm without the final R, and that's it. Because if you notice, the flipping algorithm flips this edge and this edge right here. Or sorry, and this edge right here. So yeah, that's important to know, for sure. Okay, so I wouldn't normally make a... Okay, well, you... Wait, what? I'm confused. Oh. I'm unsure if you know some of... I'd recommend... Since you already learned some of the last two edge cases for 5x5, I just recommend learning the rest of them, essentially there. Okay, your cross post... Oh, sorry. Screen. Your cross post, like right here, we can see your cross after 3x3 stage, after your reduction is done, is like very one piece at a time. And I'm willing to bet you don't do this in actual 3x3 solves. So similar to when you finish centers and then you wait until you see your edges before you start moving. Finish reduction and then wait until you see your cross before you start moving. That'll help you. It might be a little bit of a pause, but it'll help you get overall a lot smoother crosses. Also, wait, what case did you have here? Dude, you had soon. That was a soon. I'm confused. Wait, that was soon, right? Maybe there's no way the lighting's that bad. Yeah, this is soon, isn't it? Okay, never mind. Well, alright, so actually we're going to watch the next solve before we comment on finger tricks. I couldn't... Okay, it wasn't soon. I was like, holy crap. Make sure you're doing your soons on soons. Okay, so this one, it seemed like you didn't plan out the whole first center. Not being able to plan out the whole first center isn't a big deal at your level. That's fine. Seems like you're very consistent on getting at least 2 bars, so it's not that big of a deal, but definitely something you could be thinking about. I like the ability you're switching. I'm seeing in the solve that you're able to do both 2x2s into. You're building 2x2 into the full center, and you're also going pure bars. So having both options is nice. Preston, are you right-handed or left-handed? Preston, let me know in chat as soon as possible, actually, because it's a big deal. And it looks like you're right-handed. Okay, similar stuff to before. Yeah, right-handed. Okay. This there's a lot of the finger trick stuff. Like so that. Okay, so we're gonna pause right here and talk about finger tricks. So the first thing, the overall problem, well, not big problem, but like the way. So I do like. Here's a big positive about this solving stuff. Preston solves. There's no wasted moves, and he's not turning too fast for how good he is at edges. So Preston, a lot of people, a lot of kids, especially that are new, just get really excited. They want to turn as fast as possible. They see an edge. They do like 6 really fast turns. Their TPS is like 100 for like a second, and then it's 0. And then they're not sure what to do, and then they look around for a while. Preston's turning speed is appropriate for his total speed. It's good. He can see. It's clear that he can still see pieces of what's happening on the cube while he's turning. However, because of this slower turning style, it's led to you being able to get away with stuff that's not really going to fly when you get faster. And it's better to kind of start breaking these bad habits now. The first biggest thing I mentioned was this. This and this. This is better. Like, Halkshuk sometimes does weird stuff like this, but this M slice like this here especially is like really weird. I'd highly recommend getting good at, if you watch Felix's videos, especially his point of view angle ones will show you a lot better. Felix is insanely good at doing M slices by doing a wide U and then like a wide U prime, but different layers obviously. Felix is probably the best in the business at doing that. I'm pretty confident in saying that. He's insanely good at doing that. Getting used to that kind of style for doing your M slices like this. I end up rotating a lot and doing this. That's bad. Like, Felix is a lot better at doing this. You're doing stuff like this, which is really awkward and is really going to hold you up. Also, the big thing is that you're right-handed, but it looks like you're not favoring... You're setting a lot of your center cases especially. You're doing a lot of stuff with your left hand that could be done with your right hand with no extra effort. Like, there are a lot of different cases where if you think about it, you're like, okay, this is the same number of moves, the same style, like the same, solving the same thing, doing the same moves, same number of moves, but I could do it with my right hand or I could do it with my left hand. And like I mentioned before, you had a photo, like there's this point in the cube where you're holding the cube kind of like this. A big thing to think about is having your, like, you've heard of like home row and typing, like home row when you're holding your cube. You want to be holding the cube like this most of the time. Your right hand is doing most of the work, your left hand is holding, your right hand is moving. It's pretty easy to get away with doing all sorts of weird holding and stuff and weird finger tricks when you're turning slower. But as you get to a lot higher speeds, you're turning a lot faster. This is not going to be, it's not going to be something that is going to work for you. You're not going to see too many higher level people do that. What about using the middle slice by holding and slicing the middle with your index finger? Yeah, so you're doing this, if you can consistently do this, I think this is okay, but I don't think it's as consistent as just doing this, essentially. So yeah, I'd recommend doing this a little more. But anyways, so that's kind of a big thing there with your left and right-handedness. What was the other thing? Yeah, the big, like, also just left-handedness versus right-handedness, something to think about. You might notice, you'll start noticing it when you're doing your solves. It's not something that's like, it's not something that you just sit down and change. Just start thinking about it, thinking about what you're doing. Just overall finger tricks in general. Think about what you're doing and how the cube is kind of like, if you really want to think about it, think about how would this feel if I did it really fast? Is there anything super awkward in here? This isn't like a big deal. Like at this point, your biggest barrier is look ahead still, but these are kind of things that, assuming if you are planning on doing like the big grind to get your look ahead faster, where you can get your turning speed up, these will eventually be big blockers for you. And these things are pretty hard to overcome because if you've been doing the same finger tricks for a while, and it's a good idea to kind of build the good habits now. Would you recommend a lot of slow solves to try to completely make sure to not do M slices and try and turn with the right hand more? I don't think you need to do extra slow solves. I mean, your solves are very fluid now. Just be consciously thinking. They might end up being slower because you're thinking, especially at the start, because you're thinking about this stuff. You might be pausing more to see what's going on. But I don't think you need to explicitly do slow solves. Just kind of think about what moves you're doing, how you're doing them, and how like they're positioning on your hands. And a lot of the stuff you're doing, even at high levels, you might be able to get by with it, but it's going to be super risky. Like, even if you can do all this strange stuff, like, it's going to be crazy risky. You're going to mess it up a lot, especially in high pressure scenarios. You're just going to want to be able to do stuff that's a lot easier on the hands. Yeah, so that's all I got. That's like kind of the big overview of finger tricks for you. That's the big thing I'm noticing. I'm not like, a lot of the stuff, like, this is all like in general. If you have something that you think is really good and you don't see anyone else do it, but you're really comfortable with it, that's fine. Like, I just think, I'm sure if you really think about it, a lot of this stuff is not going to be comfortable. It's not as comfortable as you think, or if you think about it, there's definitely a better option, especially the left-handed, right-handedness thing. That's kind of objectively, there's better stuff, but If you have something that is you nail it 100% of the time and it's fast for you, that's just fine. Your hands might work different than mine, so but just like kind of be thinking about that stuff because it looks like it's probably not there right now. Yeah, man, good thing it says in a 3x3 average because I cannot see the 3x3 stage. Practice your OLLs a little more, but not a big deal. You might want to learn your... If you're really into big cubes, which I think you are, you could learn your RUD GE perms. Not a big deal right now. It's certainly not holding you back. Not something that's mandatory by any means, but if you want to, you could certainly do that. Ooh, I do like the editing. No scrambling. Very nice. So these next two solves are probably going to tell us the same sort of stuff. We're going to go ahead and watch them. I'll probably just comment over them in real time. Then I'll kind of give some closing, just overall thoughts on what I've been noticing. Okay, so I don't know if you did this on purpose or not, but so right here, so you're one move away from solving the first center right here, and you do have a nice case in the bottom. And if you know this and you are trying to save it in this specific solve, that's fine. That's a good idea. It only costs you like an extra half a second. But if you didn't know what you had on the bottom, just do the R wide. You don't need to save the bottom. You can just do the R wide. But I wasn't sure what you did essentially. So that's save that, but I'm not sure if that's what you wanted. All right. Right, okay, so right here, you're working on your last two centers. You should be able to get your first two bars on left and always like one kind of flow of moves. Always. So right here, you got the bar on left. You got these two pieces right here. M prime, U, M. Boom, done. Even though it's a slice and it's not ideal, it's definitely the fastest case right here. M prime, U, M. Boom, done. Like right here, you do like a lot of weird stuff, so. I don't know if you were planning on leaving with that N bar, but I'd still just do M prime UM. Alright. More of the kind of weird angle stuff. Yeah, the edges themselves look pretty, like, the turning speed's nice. I like the kind of what's going on. You seem to be consciously looking for good edges, not just an edge. It certainly doesn't have any of the same problems that I kind of expect to see from kind of the newer age cubers on solves like this. It's much, I think most, like, the style of cubing is going to really translate well into getting faster. It's more of the kind of finger tricks. The execution is going to be a little trickier into getting faster, naturally getting faster. All right, I like the fact that you didn't save that 2x1. All right, these cycles are really nice also. Okay, so there's gonna be I have another comment. So another thing. So I mentioned earlier how it was good that. Do I have another cube? Whatever. I mentioned earlier that it was good that you were doing all your last four edges on this M slice. But if you're gonna commit to doing cycles for the whole thing, it's fine to just rotate. It's gonna be more awkward to do cycles on M, and if you're just gonna finish your last four with cycles, definitely do the rotation and then do your cycles using your top and your front two layers, your front two pieces right here. It's all situational, whatever's going to be best. And it seems like, since I normally wouldn't recommend this because cycles are more advanced and this is kind of advanced, but since you're already doing this stuff, it's definitely something you can think about where, like, putting, like, oh, I'm going to do all cycles, might as well just rotate, do them quickly as opposed to trying to force them being onto M, which is more awkward. Alright, some 3x3 that I'm not going to be able to see, so we're just going to go ahead and skip that. A little flub there on the first center. It seemed like you forgot a little bit what you had planned, but that's fine. If you saved that green bar, that was smart. That's a green bar save that only cost like 1 second. Okay, never mind. You did blue, which is okay. Like, there's just a lot of saves in 5x5 that are like one move saves, which are usually worth it. All right. Yeah, like those rotations like that one where you looked at the D phase are just really uncomfortable. Also, what cube is this? It looks like you're using a lot of, like, if I had to guess, and I had no idea what year this was made or anything, like, it looks like the cube is like a V cube. It looks like you're putting so much force in the cube. You can be a lot lighter with your turns because I'm assuming you have some pretty nice hardware. Based the fact that you had like a Avg5 or a magnetic Wuji, I imagine this is a pretty nice piece of hardware. So just try and be a little lighter. It looks like you're really just like yeah, cubicle Wushuang M. You definitely, it looks like you're really beating the cube, but holy crap. Okay, that is a risky. If you can do this reliably, I'm not gonna tell you to stop because that's great. But man, I'm just gonna point this out. That is this U2, that push, that, oh my god, look at that double push. That double push, right? Like, if you can do that every time, more power to you, but holy crap, I cannot believe you executed that so smoothly. Yo, Tatools, thanks for the sub, man. Helps out. Closing parenthesis. Oh, it's that face. Alright, so that's pretty much all there is. Right, that's the last solve. So, pretty much closing remarks. I really think your solving style is really good, especially to transition. Kind of how you're solving is going to transition really well into getting faster. The biggest roadblock, obviously, at a minute 50 for pretty much everyone is look ahead. Kind of seeing the best options, which it seems like you're working on really well. Your turning speed is good. It's accurate. It's accurate, low, like you're not messing up. It's the correct turns per second to give you the best look ahead. Seems like you're actively looking for the right piece. You're not doing moves that don't need to be done. After centers are done, you're actually looking for an edge before you start. All this stuff is really good. Really good habits. Definitely keep doing this stuff. It'll make it a lot easier when you're getting faster to not... Like, stopping a bad habit is so much harder than never having it in the first place. This stuff is really good. The kind of weirdest thing that's really big is that your finger tricks, just kind of how you're handling the cube is really kind of strange almost. It works out because of how fast you're turning, but that's not going to translate well at all to kind of averaging closer to a minute, which I'm assuming you're planning on getting there. So I've mentioned this previously in the video and stuff. Yeah, right-handed versus left-handed stuff. Just kind of how you're holding the cube, some odd stuff there. And then the other big thing I'd say is that, I would not recommend trying to be any fancier than you are right now in terms of kind of your style, because in terms of centers, you're doing 2x2s into full centers, and you're also doing straight bars, which is great, especially for your speed. That's pretty much all you need until you're like a minute. That's like all I do anyways. You could do a little bit of work. The only thing I'd recommend for centers is one move saves, like doing a U to save 2 bars. That stuff is fine. Good habits to pick up now. But anything more complicated than that, I wouldn't recommend. Edges are smooth. There aren't too many tricks in edges. For the last 4 edges, you're already doing your cycles and your slice up slice, and you're incorporating a lot of cycles. This is really good stuff. Don't worry too much about trying to really push your cycles to the max. That's not going to save too much time in terms of your last 4 edges right now relative to the rest of your solve. It's a really good thing that you have going on. It's a great thing to get comfortable with, but you'll just let that kind of happen naturally, and maybe, like, I don't think it'll ever be a roadblock for you because of how early you're starting. It's just going to be something that's natural and really good, and you'll kind of figure it out more as you go along. But yeah, the other thing is, when you're doing your last 4, pick M or E to do your edges because you're kind of doing an awkward mix of both. Other than that, also 3x3, your last layer looks a little strange, but yeah, like this is actually a pretty good example of a really good spot to be in when you're getting faster. Like at this point in time, I see a lot of kids that are, well, I don't see a ton of kids, but like people are turning too fast, or they're just doing a ton of stupid moves that aren't doing anything. This is a good example of like actually smart solving. I like it a lot. I'm trying to think of more specific stuff I had, but I think I mentioned most of it in the video and stuff, or previously in the video. So yeah, I like this solve. The biggest, yeah, just you're going to have to do a lot of stuff, or a lot of grinding, essentially. Look ahead is going to be your killer right here, and then really try to be lighter with your turn. Lighter with the turns, it'll make it a lot easier to turn fast. It'll be like you'll turn effortlessly you'll be turning effortlessly and still be turning faster than you would when you were when you were using a lot of force. So yeah.